Now, the initial public offering of SKS Microfinance, that's the largest microfinance company in the country, opened to quite a cold response, but that's after the company finalized the allotment of over 30 lakh shares to anchor investors at the upper end of the price band at 985 rupees per share. Let's, of course, find out a little bit more about that.
So the question we're asking, of course, is that microfinance seems quite exciting sounding. So is the hype justified or is it misplaced? Tilisa Gupta Kaul, head of microfinance at Dhanlaxmi Bank, joins us. Tilisa, a very straight question. You know, there is obviously a lot of hype around this IPO. So let's keep that aside for a moment. The microfinance space, is there as much opportunity as we all think there is?
Definitely yes. There is a huge microfinance market available to us, and I don't think so the total number of branches, whether it is public sector banks, private sector banks, cooperative banks, local area banks, regional rural banks, whether they're urban branches, semi-urban or rural branches, they're all good enough to serve a 6 lakh village in India. So if you ask me, definitely yes, it's a big market. And there's a huge opportunity which is there for institutions to explore here.
Right, now it's a great thing, of course, good for the country, but is there really the kind of growth potential and opportunity here for more players in the future?
To answer this question, you know, I hear many a times people say that microfinance institutions charge a very high amount of money to poor people and they fleece away money from them. To quite an extent, I don't agree to the same. Because if you see the total administration and the operation cost that an MFI has to spend to serve one customer for rupees 10,000, it is huge. Where is the MFI getting the money today? The MFI is getting money today from the banks. And what are the rates banks are lending at? Around 11 to 12%. Not maybe, you know, few are lent at 13% also. Then you have administration and operation cost. When you start a microfinance institution, generally that cost would range anywhere between 14 to 18% and maybe higher in virgin states. So if you go to a place like Rajasthan, which is huge, wherein you know, when you go and get in touch with a lady for funding, she is not ready to talk to you, so you have to first convince her husband. So there are 2-3 rounds of convincing of husbands goes on, and then the ladies come up in front and then they are taught how to utilize that money. All this costs something. Today, answer me why banks are not doing so much of micro lending as much as microfinance institutions. Because the money that you spend in lending a 1 lakh loan and the money that you spend in lending a 10,000 rupee loan is the same. So when you have such a high cost, you have to anyhow make sure that you get your money back.
Right, so there's a last question. You know, so won't the line between microfinance and banks blur in coming days? I mean, you yourself are obviously representing a bank working on this side of the business. In which case, what could and how long could this opportunity last?
See, for that I would like to say that banks can definitely do it. But if you really look at the branches of microfinance institutions, they are like brick and mortar. So what I am sensing in future, banks will definitely be able to lend to this segment through the financial inclusion model, wherein you are setting up a brick and mortar nearby village, wherein you can serve a number of people for opening their accounts, and then after once you open their no-frills account, the same accounts can be used for lending also. So I'm seeing that, you know, banks are going towards it, and a bank like us or maybe any other private sector or public sector bank who's keenly doing financial inclusion in future at any given point of time when you have your UID in place would also look at funding these customers, not only opening their savings bank account and educating them about banking. The challenge would then be how do you manage the repayments, because currently the kind of repayment structures that these women have and the kind of collection methodology used by microfinance institution, there's a huge amount of effort and there's a huge amount of time and money that goes into it. So banks also should be open to that idea in terms of concentrating completely maybe through a particular set of branches in the sector.
All right, Tilisa, thanks so much. We'll leave it there. Still to come on the final word.